we probably get 20 inquiries a day or something on average.
Yeah, easily.
And look, heard of some fantastic results. There's no question about that. Absolutely, some cancers have totally disappeared. Some tumours have totally disappeared. And I do think generally you've got to have a holistic approach. So having a healthy diet and a good attitude,
good mind,
as well as the medicine all helps. But Francis, talking vaccine reactions, like a lady from
we've
the
got
Gold
quite a
Coast
few children that have had vaccine reactions, or we believe they've had vaccine reactions. I have a girlfriend whose child was born normal, got a little bit of a cold in hospital, so they decided they'd vaccine him for meningococcal, which is the same as Cooper in Melbourne. Was also done for the same reason. And Cooper, after his, went to 300 to 400 seizures a day. Told he wouldn't live past 2.5. He's now 5. Started his first day of school and been under oil for 3 years.
On CBD?
CBD.
On CBD.
So that's one from vaccines. The one up in the Gold Coast, he's actually ended up with brain trouble and ended up with a little stunt in his head. Stint, I think they're called, in the head. And he'll have to have that changed every few years as he grows. And there's chances he'll have, and this is from the vaccine. And heaps of friends with autistic kids that believe they watched it change the minute their kids.
Yeah, there's no question about it. I've met enough parents.
So, but the oil is doing this good. The oil, CBD, a cold, seems to be working for most things neurological. Sometimes we have to step into a THC, depending how many seizures they're having.
The irony is, for me, I think the government got really excited when they realised, we can use a cannabinoid where you don't
where
get
it's non-psychoactive.
Right? And one of the interesting, it's a bit of a side story, but people like me, who, I had a traumatic boarding school at Scotch down here in Melbourne, totally hated it, went at 10 years old, closed down really, and when I first discovered cannabis at 24, I just loved it. It gave me some amazing relief. And I met a lot of people with PTSD. We've got a weeded warriors group here, people who've been in Vietnam, Iraq and Afghanistan, who are trying to get something happening. It's big in America. That's a really big issue in America. They got to be quiet. We can't do this without noise. Sorry guys. You can go right out the back or sit on the veranda. It'd be cool. We just have got a limited time, so we can't do it. Yeah, so when the government discovered that CBD can give you such good results, and what's happened is hippies who were going to get stoned, for years we've bred the high THC plants without realising dropping the anti-anxiety CBD levels was kind of causing more mental health problems a little bit for some people. And if you've certainly got a history of mental illness in your family, you've got to be a bit wary, because like a good psychiatrist told me once, it is manure for your imagination. And unless you've got your feet on the ground, you can lose touch with who you are a bit. So, it's a really interesting time at the moment where a lot of people are realising different strains and varieties of cannabis are good for different ailments and different issues.
And do you name your own?
Yeah, and people are breeding specific plants now for specific ailments. And we can't do any legal testing here in Australia. We can't do any analysis, so we're really stumbling in the dark. But those results are coming out of America big time. I was talking about police before. So the police have been hammering them, and just because it's so overt, the cannabis trade, and they get lots of complaints. But to give them some credit, there's been discretion too, I think, for genuine medical users. If it's in a raw pot form, it's drugs, but once it's turned into oil, it's medicinal somehow. It's a really simple way to look at it. I can't get my head around the pharmaceutical industry and their greed and their monopoly and their attitude. I remember reading a story that in Washington, America, for every senator, Big Pharma had 20 lobbyists living in Washington, and that really rocked me. And people I hear, it's not dissimilar in Canberra. They spend more money lobbying to stop drug laws changing and to keep the war on drugs going than any other industry. They make the gun lobby in America look tiny. That's interesting. So that led me to realise just how much money's in it. And now the figures are coming out of America where the states that have had medical cannabis for quite a while, pharmaceutical use has dropped a huge extent, treating cancer, MS, epilepsy, seizures, all sorts of things. And it works better and you don't get the side effects. So big pharma's clearly threatened heaps by their profits. It's just about money. The whole monopoly game really is what it's about. They want control, pain relief. Cannabis was in maybe the majority of medicines 100 years ago, like the opium poppy also. They're the best two pain relievers on the planet. And they're the ones they want control over. The catch is they can't put pot in a pill so easily. They're trying hard.
Well, it wasn't a lot of our medicines till 1942.
Yeah, it was.
Or, cannabis, indica, and little bits in cough medicines in our croup stuff for babies' coughs, that, croup or whatever it was. That Gry Porter, that's what I was thinking of, Gry Porter. It used to be in that, it used to be in toothache drops.
Queen Victoria.
Yep.
Again, it's that anti-inflammatory property.
Yep.
But if you think about it, it's perhaps the oldest plant with recorded use, 10,000 years ago. No one's ever died. You can't die from it.
Still an oat and grey.
I'm amazed how the pharmaceutical industry has managed to hoodwink people so totally and terrify them about it. You can't die. You might have a big sleep, or you might have a bit of a panic attack, but that will pass. Virtually everyone recovers. It's extremely rare the cases of people who smoke pot and don't have a good experience and don't recover.
And then again, you might find that was hydrate.
Yeah.
If they didn't have.
And organic bush pot grown out in the sun is a very different product to being bred in a bath full of chemicals. I can't say enough about it. It's shocking, the Australian culture where young people are smoking with tobacco and mixing it with tobacco. There's no education on this. The price of it is a big drama. Kids are paying $20 a gram per pot. They'll double it by mixing tobacco with it, get some extra spin effect. But very soon after smoking a few cones, kids wake up in the morning, I want a cone. They're hooked on the nicotine. It's that nicotine addiction. That's a shocking thing. America, New Zealand, Canada, people aren't smoking with tobacco. It's some habit we've got.
Some way of doing this for
it's a big
kids.
issue.
Do some issue to educate them again. Mix it with something else, doing something.
Well, we try.
And I can talk about that with my own problems. So